All right, we're creeping up towards 100 people, so I think we can go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Big welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining this session today. I'm Christina Rosen with the Consortium for Service Innovation. Also on the call with me today are my fellow consortium staff members, Matt Seaman, Kelly Murray, Sarah Feldman, and Jennifer Morcat. The consortium is a not-for-profit organization, and we exist thanks to the support of our members. Together, we work on shaping the future of customer engagement, including the impact of AI on how we get work done. Big topic all around. We, the consortium staff and our members together, are the owners and caretakers of the Knowledge-Centered Service Methodology, KCS, along with other models like intelligent swarming and resources like our recently published AI blueprint. I would encourage all of you to go to serviceinnovation.org for more information, including other upcoming events like this one. KCS is a set of principles and practices designed to integrate knowledge into the way that we get our work done. Tools and technology are what enable us to blend KCS practices into our day-to-day workflow. And our verified and aligned technology partners provide solutions to help you do the work of KCS. eGain joined us last year as a KCS verified vendor. Their AI Knowledge Hub is designed to orchestrate AI and experts to capture, curate, publish, and optimize knowledge. I'm very pleased today to welcome Arvind Gopal, VP of Product Management and Product Strategy at eGain. He's here to share how they enable KCS success. And a little bit of housekeeping before I hand it over. We're anticipating time for Q&A at the end. In the meantime, you are highly encouraged to put questions and comments in the Zoom chat. We're recording this event today. You'll receive an email with a link to the recording in the next few days. Arvind, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Christina. We are extremely excited to be here. Hello to everybody who's joined us today, and a big thank you for spending time with us. What we wanted to do, or at least what I wanted to do, was to spend a little bit of time talking about what we see and what we see in the market today, as well as what are we working on, how do we address some of the things that we are seeing in the market. Before we get into the topic of KCS and into the topic of AI itself, just a quick word on who we are. We are the top-rated knowledge management platform for CS. We are highly rated by industry analysts like Gartner. We're also an emerging leader in the Gen AI EMQ, which is a new EMQ for Gen AI apps that Gartner publishes. Gartner's rated us #1 for knowledge management on their customer service market guide, as well as in the critical capabilities report for customer engagement, which is a report that they publish alongside the Gartner Magic Quadrant, which they publish every year or so. But probably the thing that we are most proud of is the last one on that slide, which is the Peer Insights. This is a site that's hosted by Gartner. So it's a validated site where our customers can go and rate us and provide reviews about how we do. And we have a 4.9 out of 5. That's probably the rating that we're most proud of in this. And I know Christina talked a little bit about our KCS verified status with the consortium. We are new members to the consortium, but our relationship with the consortium probably goes back a long before that. We were originally verified with version 3 at one point, and then we kind of, over the years, never kept up the verifications, but we are really excited to be back in the consortium, back working with the team over here and being verified with the latest V6. In terms of the markets that we service, these are some of the clients that we work with. Our primary markets are in the financial services, healthcare, retail, telecom, and we do service a lot of US government customers as well. Now, moving on to knowledge and KCS, which is why we are here today. This is what we see in the market today, right? When we work with enterprises, people are drowning in content, and their content is pretty much all over the place in the enterprise. Most of the time agents spend in servicing a customer is in finding the answer. About a third of the time is just to find how to resolve the problem, not even looking at the actual resolution itself. The reuse rates for content across the enterprise are 20% or less in most of the enterprises that we work with. And the amount of money, if you just take the amount that it costs every time you have to spend time looking for knowledge, not finding it, or finding incorrect knowledge and having to correct it, that number might actually be too small. Right? And when we start working with some of our clients, this is what we see. Um, and some of you might look at this picture and say, yeah, we know that. And that's the reaction that we normally get when we put this picture up as well. On the left is, that he had 15, 16, 20 different content sources that might exist in an enterprise, because different teams like to do things differently and they publish content in different places. Then you'd have all the knowledge tools that kind of sit in the middle where you create some knowledge within it, and then you try to somehow connect and use some of the knowledges from different sources, depending upon which business unit you're engaged with. You get access to some of them, not get access to others. And finally, all the different touch points on the right side where you publish this content out to. Now, what this results in is for the end user trying to access knowledge through all these touch points is conflicted answers, confusion in terms of what knowledge they can use. What we are seeing with AI is AI just makes this problem maybe 10 times worse. In the past, if you would go into one of these sources, you'd look at an answer and say, yeah, that doesn't look about right. You would probably do a little bit more research and you try to find an answer that actually works for you. What AI does, and when you start putting AI onto these point solutions, is it starts creating extremely compelling, extremely consumable responses for your question. So you look at that response and you would say, yeah, that looks right. But it may not be, because the source that it depends on for generating that answer may not be current, may be outdated. There may be overlapping pieces of information. There may just be incorrect information. So it all depends on the source of that content. And if that is incorrect, the responses that AI puts out is incorrect. But now those responses just look good and are extremely consumable, which means people use it more often, which just exponentially makes the problem worse. Now, getting to KCS itself. KCS is a methodology that promises to handle these situations, that has the ability to ensure that knowledge is really created as knowledge. It is an asset that grows with an organization over time. It's created when it's required as people ask questions. And that's one of the things that we really believe as well. Questions and people looking for knowledge really form the foundation of what you need as knowledge. So integrating knowledge into part of your workflow, ensuring that capture of knowledge happens as you are solving customer problems, ensuring that it is structured properly, ensuring that everything is validated through usage metrics that, again, keep the knowledge up to date, keep it current, keep it relevant to what you're trying to do as an organization. So KCS is a methodology that promises to resolve that problem of content chaos in organizations. When we work with our customers, especially customers who are implementing KCS, probably the biggest challenge that they struggle with, and we have ways of that people try to overcome it, but the challenge still remains. The challenge that they struggle with is striking that balance. I do need to create knowledge while I am servicing and solving customer problems. But I also need to focus on the customer because I may have an irate customer on the call with me. Now, do I focus on empathizing with the customer and trying to resolve the problem? Or do I also focus on trying to create that knowledge article that can then be reused over time? So it's one of those dilemmas that companies deal with, trying to strike that balance between focus on knowledge practices or focus on service and providing the customer with the best possible service available. Um, and the result obviously is normally a compromise. You get, if you have leadership pushing to reduce handle times, improve the quality metrics, as well as improve cost efficiency of contact centers. So you are squeezing the amount of time the agents have to actually solve a problem. But at the same time, you're asking the agents to document, capture everything, which means it results in essentially either agents resisting, creating that additional documentation burden, or reducing the quality of knowledge that gets created as part of that process. The other thing that comes into play that again causes issues is search. Traditional keyword-based searches are extremely ineffective in trying to resolve questions that are asked by the customer, especially if the questions are phrased differently, especially if the problems are situational, that require bringing together knowledge and context to be able to answer. So search remains an ineffective way of actually finding knowledge. And once that knowledge is created, there are tasks to continuously maintain and continuously improve that knowledge. Again, that requires investment. Again, when you're trying to squeeze the bottom line, that ends up being compromised as well. Gen AI has actually made a step change in what it allows us to do and how it allows us to implement KCS. It has the ability to automate all of these pieces and remove all of the compromises that you might be considering or might need to make otherwise. So it has the ability, and we'll get into the details of this, to automate knowledge capture without requiring any additional effort by the agent. It has the ability to understand users' problems. It has the ability to understand situational problems, marry content with context, and provide an answer. It has the ability to generate answers that are specific to the current need in real time, so the agents don't have to spend time doing that. And it has the ability to continuously improve knowledge as well as itself through continuous learning. What the part that I really wanted to talk through today was 7 of these transformations, which we work with our customers on to improve their KCS implementation. And we'll talk about the transformations themselves. We'll also talk a little bit about how we do it in our product, and what we see when we work with our customers. So these are the 7 transformations. I won't read them out because I'm going to get into details of each one of them in the following slides. So the first one is capture without sacrifice. So this goes to that main problem that I was highlighting, right? Which is, do I spend time as an agent on focusing on handling the customer, solving the problem, or do I spend time trying to capture how I solve the problem so the next agent has an easier time? What if you didn't have to do that? What if you could spend your entire time trying to solve the customer's problem and give the customer 100% focus, and let the system look at what you were doing, follow what you were doing, capture everything, and create that knowledge for you in the background, using the customer's language as the question, using your approved sources to resolve the content, as well as what you were doing on the call. Now bring all of that together and create that knowledge article, which can then become the living article that goes forward. It's absolutely possible. So this is a screenshot of our software. So what you're seeing is an agent handling a call. So the calls come in, you are handling the call, and that section in the middle is the eGain's AI agent. What we are doing in this particular situation is we are listening to the conversation, and I'll get into a little bit more details of what we do as we listen to the conversation. Let's assume in this case, we did not have knowledge that was readily available that could resolve that customer's problem. At the end, the agent works through the problem, finds a resolution for the customer. At the end of the call, you can click a single summarize button, and this brings up the AI summary, which includes that KCS article that needs to be created. Click the create article button, automatically creates the article for you. It also gives you a complete analysis of how that call went, which, by the way, goes into the analytics system, which we can then use to determine how well the agent actually followed process while the agent was on the call. So you get a quick readout of, did I do the right things? Did I find the right knowledge? Was I following the right process? As well as taking care of creating that KCS article that can then be used by the next set of agents so they don't have to troubleshoot or find a way to solve the problem the next time they run into it. Now, excuse me. So we'll get a little bit more into that problem solving part of it in a second, but I do want to talk, every time we talk about KCS articles, we do want to talk about structuring them and ensuring that the structure of these articles are correct, ensure that the details captured are complete, ensure that we have always transformed all the available information into the articles, ensure that it aligns with all standard guidelines, all of those, right? These are, again, things that the agent needs to keep in mind today, or potentially somebody who, or a KCS contributor or a publisher needs to keep in mind at some point because they have to go in and update and edit those articles. Again, what if I were to tell you that none of these needs to be done by humans anymore? These are things that AI can handle by itself. Let's take another look at a quick couple of screenshots. Again, this is from our tool. What you see on the left side is our authoring console, or a part of the authoring console, because I wanted to focus in on the AI insights. And what we have the ability to do right now is look at articles as they're created or as they are being maintained, and come up with insights based on your requirements, your guides in terms of what you need to see in those articles. We can then provide that as insights to people creating the articles, as well as people maintaining those articles in the long term. That's just the first part of it. It then also has the ability to drill down into, so in this case, there were some issues with the style guide. Drill down into it, and it'll tell you that you were not using the headers the right way. Your article was missing disclaimers. The voice or the tone of the article had incorrect references to, or confusing references where you were interchangeably using terms like customer, borrower, when you should stick to one term to refer to that person. And a whole bunch of other things that you can't actually see in the screenshot below. But you now have the ability to, again, just hit the apply button and let AI take care of it. AI will reformat that article for you, fix all the problem areas that has been identified, and then you can go in and decide to tweak the little places that you need to further tweak before you publish that article. All of that heavy lifting that you needed to do to structure the article correctly has already been taken care of. What you're left with is just a few tweaks that you might want to do as the expert. That's the knowledge that you bring in as the expert that the AI system does not have. So you're left to do the job that is your expertise and let AI take care of all of the heavy lifting and the mundane, repetitive tasks that you otherwise have to do. Going back into that problem solving, get used. The biggest challenge with reuse is the fact that most people cannot find or cannot recognize a piece of content as the content that they're looking for that will help them resolve this particular query. It becomes even more complicated when the query is situational, meaning the customer comes in and says things like, hell, my account has this issue. Can you help me resolve it? It is a situational problem. It requires the agent to do a little bit of investigation to first figure out what status is that account in, and then go ahead and resolve that problem. The biggest piece is as with the current agentic technologies that are available to you, the AI system now has the ability to understand the intent of the customer. It also has the ability, because the way agentic technologies work is it has these multiple agents that can go in and pick up information, bring context, bring all of them together, investigate further, and then come up with a response. So it has that ability to bring all the pieces together, marry it with context, then determine what is the next best step to do. So now you go from a situation where you have challenges recognizing if that content will help me resolve this problem to a point where that content is right in front of you. It is proactively pushed to you, so you don't have to even take the step of searching to get to a response. As one of our customers like to say, we'd like our employees to trip on knowledge as they go. We don't want them to be looking for knowledge. We want them to trip on it because it's there everywhere. So this is that sort of a situation. So again, going back to that AI agent screenshot I was sharing with you guys earlier, this is that screen that was behind the pop-up window. We are continuously listening to the conversation. As we understand the conversation, we will start prompting the agent with, "Hey, we believe this conversation is about metering issues." And we just ask for agreement. Now, we can do that automatically. We like to do that because oftentimes the customers come up with more than one issues that they want to discuss. And we'd like to give the agent the flexibility of determining which one they want to tackle first before they go to the next and the next. So in many cases, you'll see multiple intents pop up and saying, hey, the customer wants to talk about three things. Which one do you want to start with first? Once that intent is detected, we then have the ability to guide the agent down to a resolution. And again, remember, all of this is based on your content, and all of this is dynamic. So it has the ability to go in and ask clarifying questions, bring in context, plug that in, and then come to a resolution. Now, in cases, if you are in a highly compliant industry and you need this dialogue to be structured and predetermined, we could do that as well. And that is, again, something that the AI system can handle. But the idea is agents no longer have to look for knowledge, which means your reuse rates will automatically go up, because if an answer exists, it's being pushed to the agent. They are going to use the answer the question, and they won't end up creating duplicate pieces of article, which will be one of the things that we discuss soon as well. So all in all, this really pushes us forward in terms of reuse and in terms of the health of our knowledge system. So the next part obviously is, one, now we have ensured that reuse is happening. We've ensured that we have the ability to create content in the process of serving customers. The ability to do maintenance, to flag and fix content automatically, to understand questions that customers ask, understand missing pieces, missing context, etc. Again, this is an area where AI can significantly help. Now, there are two ways of doing it. One is automatic. One is when you are in the flow of work, you still want the agents to flag and fix things that they find. So that's obviously there. That is something that the system can do as part of the as part of the summarization that I showed you earlier. It has the ability to also go in and say, okay, I think we found content, but based on this, we believe that content needs to be updated with something. So it can help you flag content easily. We can also do it on the evolve loop, on the maintenance side, where we have the ability to continuously monitor everything that's happening within the contact center. identify how customers are asking questions, identify places where we don't have the right linkages to be able to bring in the context and bring and answer those questions up and flag those pieces, make those changes, detect those gaps, and try to address them based on certified content that you have in your organization. So let's take a quick look at what that looks like, right? Um, so with an AI system, what we have the ability to do is to transform knowledge and to orchestrate how knowledge is being transformed. One of the transformations is what I'm showing you here on the right side. This starts from being able to, or this starts from your contact center call scripts. So these could be your phone call scripts, or it could be email transcripts, it could be chat transcripts, it doesn't matter. It has the ability to pull the transcripts, understand what questions are being asked. So it'll extract all the questions from the transcripts, then has the ability to classify those questions, group them together as to these are all the same questions, they are phrased differently. Look at your knowledge base, understand which of those questions actually have ideal answers available, understand and proposed potential updates to existing articles or potentially new articles for your knowledge base. Check for duplicates again to ensure that we haven't missed anything. And then finally, if you have content sources that we can reach out to and pull this information from, or if that information is available in the transcript itself, generate that content, organize it in a taxonomy, and publish it out. So we've basically created a pipeline that could potentially be used as a continuous improvement process, or potentially be used when you are trying to bring a new business unit in, or when you're trying to bring knowledge into your organization where you have a lot of articles that are not in KCS format that exist. They're not necessarily knowledge. We have the ability to go in and bring all that and bootstrap your knowledge base as well. So again, helps you automate that maintenance part of it, also helps you identify content gaps, and helps you get started when needed. So talking about maintenance. And we talked a little bit about maintenance, but we talked about maintenance primarily in the process of creation. This is more once the knowledge has been created and as you do continuous maintenance on your knowledge. Some of the things that hamper or hinder the ability for knowledge systems to be extremely efficient is duplicates. So they are always challenging because it might be similar, it might be close to an existing question, but might have nuances that are different. And that ends up being created as a duplicate article by an agent. So duplicates are obviously an issue, and that trips up AI as well, because if you have overlapping pieces of content, ensuring that you pick the right one is important. Flagging outdated, inconsistent content, ensuring that everything is in the. One of the things that this is when we talk about style, formatting, consistency, one of the things that I hear a lot from our customers these days is, and I didn't realize this was a big thing till I started hearing it a lot, is active voice. They want most of that knowledge content to be written in active voice because it's more easily consumable and a better style of writing. Again, those are the kind of things that AI can automatically handle. And finally, converting all your legacy documentation that you have into KCS format. So again, let's take a look at some of the things that we can do to assist in those. Right, we saw that screen on the left side before, which was basically showing you AI insights. Now I want to focus on the bottom part of that screen. What we have the ability to do is identify articles that are duplicate. And it's not just identifying articles that are duplicate, it will basically tell you how similar the articles are. So it gives you a score. In this case, it found an article that was 91% similar to this existing article. So a good candidate for a merge, which again is something that the system can do automatically because it can merge the articles for you, bring up the merged version. You can compare it with the first or the second version and then decide decide if you want to make further edits or which version you want to keep. Right? Checking for duplicates again when the content is being created. So ensuring that we don't end up creating articles that are similar to ones that already exist in the system. And finally, the health check, which is a dashboard that's available to knowledge authors, to publishers. They have the ability to go into the dashboard and quickly understand what are the challenges that exist in the part of the knowledge that they own and they control. So if you have teams that are responsible for specific pieces of knowledge or own those pieces of knowledge, they can look at it for their knowledge and immediately get a sense of what needs to be addressed. Now, we started this discussion with talking about the different silos that exist in an enterprise. And that really is the next critical transformation for us. Now, this is more than just AI. So it's not something that Gen AI just comes in and magically helps resolve. But the reason I have this here is anytime you look for a knowledge management tool or you look for an AI tool, this is one of those critical things that you have to keep in mind. It has to be a tool that helps you break down the knowledge silos. Now, when we talk about breaking down the knowledge silos, if you are trying to bring all the knowledge into one place, and I know some of you would have attempted it, you know how difficult that is. In a large enterprise, teams don't always want to work on the same system. They have differing needs on how they create content. Some teams are just doing documentation. They really don't want to get on a knowledge management system. So it has to be a system that brings things together, but not necessarily requires that everything be kept in that system. It has to be a system that can connect to more than just knowledge systems. So, and as we have seen from the earlier slides, to really make knowledge effective and reuse effective, you need to be able to marry that knowledge with context and be able to provide those personalized responses to customers. So it has to be a system that addresses more than knowledge. It has to be a system that works with your existing tools and processes with your enterprise, and also has to be a system that can address the knowledge needs of all your consumers and all your downstream systems. So in effect, it needs to look something like this. The circle right in the middle, obviously, is the core knowledge management system, which is built around AI and has all the abilities that we just talked about. That second circle, the white circle, is the APIs and connectors that surround that core knowledge system that actually allow you to make it to allow you to integrate it within your enterprise, make that a rich solution. So that becomes really key. So now looking at it from the left to the right, on the south end are all the enterprise systems that you need to source either content or context from. So all the content systems that you need to connect to so you can bring that content into a single place where users can access that content from. And all the context systems that you need to connect to so you can get context into the knowledge system as well, so you can start answering those situational questions and providing personalized contextual responses to your consumers. And on the right side are all your consumers. Now, one of the things to remember with consumers is most systems tend to address that top half, which is the different people consuming knowledge through a UX. The bottom half of it is as important as that top half. As we see in enterprises, there are varying needs of who consumes knowledge. So a lot of your consumers may not be humans. There may be AI systems automating processes further down the line that need access to the same knowledge. So you need to have the ability to address your human consumers who are using the system through portals and through other user interfaces, as well as all the automation systems that have a need to access knowledge. So that really allows you to bring knowledge and plug that into the enterprise and make it almost an infrastructure level component that everybody has access to. Okay. And lastly, I think we don't need to talk more. Everybody's well aware of the importance of measuring and optimizing. So The key with AI and measuring and optimizing is, I think, two parts. One is you need to know how your AI system is performing. So you need to have the ability to measure and optimize your AI system in addition to optimizing your knowledge. And so the standard measures are always available, which articles are delivering most value, all of those pieces. We also need to know how well is your AI system able to pinpoint the right article, put that in front of people and use it. Um, the other big key piece is moving away from what are just reports to insights. AI systems should now have the ability to provide you with insights, looking at patterns to say when things change within your system, when things change within your environment, highlight those so it gives you an opportunity to make informed decisions in terms of how to optimize that entire system. This is just a quick graph of the various reports that we have. We do have dashboards that are fully configurable by our customers to provide them with both reports specific to their groups, specific to people, or with insights that our system can generate. Now, if we do all these transformations and as we work with our customers, these are some of the numbers that you can expect. These are not numbers that we picked out of any analyst report. These are numbers we actually see working with our customers. We truly believe that first number is absolutely achievable for most enterprises. We can achieve a 75% reduction in service costs if you implement your knowledge management system properly, if you implement the right practices around the knowledge management system that keeps it fresh, keeps it up to date, you can see that number of get to 75%. Some of the other numbers that we see are just as powerful. Decrease in average handle times, boost in first call resolutions. Some of these are more interesting. Improvement in agent confidence was something that we didn't expect, but we started seeing as they start interacting with the knowledge system. They are more confident in terms of the answers that they're providing, which in turn leads to better CSAT scores on the other side, because your agents are confident in the responses that they're providing, which generally reflects better with customers, and you see improved CSAT scores. Time to agent competency, obviously, because the system takes care of most of the heavy lifting, which means you have to train your agents less. Right? And again, improvement in NPS or CSAT or whatever other scores that you choose to measure as your CSAT scores. Again, these are some of the results from our customers. Do want to leave to talk to you guys about a more specific example. This is a company that we started working with, I think, probably a year or so ago. Again, similar issues, ability to find content was one of their biggest challenges. We did deploy the KCS verified hub over there. We consolidated their knowledge resources. We've provided embedded knowledge for their users with workflows. Currently, we are at 2,500 of their users deployed across 32 languages and about 10 million self-service sessions. So I threw a lot of information at you guys. I do want to leave you guys with what is the easiest way? So you're ready to get your transformation going. Where do we start? What's the easiest way for you to get started? And then how do you go from that point forward? I leave you with, this is probably the only sales part of my entire presentation. I leave you with two products that you can quickly take a look at. And the reason I leave you with these products is because you can go and check them out on our website and sign up for them right away. So the product that I was showing you most in this presentation was the AI agent for contact center, which you can sign up for. It has connectors into most of the popular CCaaS systems. And if you have a CCaaS system that we don't publish a connector to, just reach out to us. We probably have one in the works. But that's a system that has the ability to monitor conversations in real time, establish the intent, provide agents with a guided guided step-by-step resolution, um, has the ability to adapt to agent specific agent proficiency. Now, this is actually an interesting thing. This is probably something I'd like to hear some of your views on as well. What we see when working with our customers is when you put a new knowledge system in place, the agents who are not uh, tenured or do not have the kind of experience are the first to adopt it. They find the system extremely useful. And as they get tenured, they start looking at it saying, that's just way too many steps. You're wasting my time. So I'm just going to go do my thing because I already know how to answer these questions. It's it generally leads to a drop in adoption, which means it leads to a drop in best practices. What we have the ability to do is adjust the amount of guidance that we provide agents based on the level of proficiency. So, coming from your performance management systems, we have the ability to ingest your agent level of performance and proficiency by subject matter. And based on that, we can provide them with more guidance, complete step-by-step instructions on how to resolve a problem, or maybe just a reminder checklist that says, make sure you did these things. So for a tenured agent, it's a reminder, making sure that they are still following the process. We can still measure whether or not they did everything at the end. We don't, but it allows them to move as fast as they potentially can. And for your novice or new agents, it gives them very specific step-by-step instructions, which ensures that quality is maintained regardless of their tenure or their experience. So that's one place you can go and sign up for a free pilot today. The other one is extending the knowledge that you already have into self-service. So it's the same agentic technology, but applied to self-service. And when we talk about numbers like 75% savings uh, on the contact center, self-service is one of the key elements to it. If a call doesn't come into the contact center, obviously it's immediate savings. So extending the knowledge that you're already creating into self-service is key. This is the same agentic technology applied to self-service. It has the ability to get content from obviously the Knowledge Hub, also from your website, documents, or other trusted content sources. It's really easy to set up. We actually run workshops where we set this up in 5 minutes for customers as a quick setup for a sliver of their knowledge. And they can start using it immediately. Again, something that you can sign up for today and use it as a trial. Check it out. I'll leave you with those two products. That was my last slide. Hopefully you guys have found things interesting. Happy to take any questions at this point. Back over to you, Christina.
Thanks, Arvind. Yeah, what I think I'm going to do is we've got plenty of questions in chat, but they seem to kind of be grouped around some common themes. So I'm going to start with just kind of the themes that we got with our questions, and then we can open it up further to more people. So the first thing is we got several questions about the format of content. Is there a structure or a format that you recommend to make content more usable by the AI? And do you have customers that are transforming their existing content or working with their existing content to make it more consumable by AI?
That's a great question. I think that's on the mind of a lot of our customers. It's probably some of the most consulting work that we do these days is in terms of making content AI ready. I do think AI ready is a misnomer because what you're trying to really do is make content human and AI ready, because at the end of the day, you want humans to be able to use the content as well. Yes, we do have best practices around what works. They will seem often very similar to things that you've already heard. Clarity of content, ensuring that your thoughts are properly captured, ensuring that they are well structured. When you would look at differences between what makes it human ready, AI ready, those will be things like one of the things that's important for human consumption is reading levels. People tend to look at 8th grade reading level as the maximum you should go for human consumption. AI doesn't really have an issue with reading levels. So there are a few nuances to what is different between human-ready content and AI-ready content, but uh, large part of it is ensuring clarity of content and clarity of thought. If you can scan that content and get a reasonable view into what that article is about and the information that you're looking for, generally AI will do a very good job. The other key piece with this whole transformation piece is the best person to determine how to get a content to be AI ready is actually AI. So we do a lot of that transformation using AI. So we have structured prompts that we can use to get content transferred from content transformed to make it really easily accessible to AI. It's something I would please do reach out to us, and that's probably a topic for another webinar, Christine.
Yeah, content is a hot topic, both legacy content, external content, existing knowledge content.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I love that, making sure your content is human and AI ready. I think sometimes in this race to make sure AI understands our content, we want to make sure people understand it first, right?
Yeah,
Comprehensible to people
absolutely.
is also comprehensible to AI. Staying a little bit on the content topic, content quality came up as well, as it relates to, like, how do you ensure that the content that is generated by your AI doesn't feel robotic or, have the famous 1,000 dashes that ChatGPT puts in your text? And how do you handle content quality around possible like hallucination behavior?
Right. They are two separate questions, and I'm happy to
Yes.
take both of them. Um, Probably easiest to take the hallucination question first. Um, so in terms of hallucinations, let's think about what causes hallucinations, either because the system is using content that it was trained with, meaning not your content, or it is because you have issues within your content, and I want to tackle them kind of separately. Um, Now, one of the things that we ensure with our AI systems is we completely put guardrails around trusted sources. We will not use content that is not from a trusted source to answer a question. We have multiple checks in place to ensure that answer is coming from a trusted source and is relevant to the question that is being asked. Um, so that removes the potential of it using any of its training and any particular hallucinations that might come in. One of the hardest things to do with an AI system is to get the AI system to say, I don't know. That is exactly what we do. If the system does not have a response from a trusted source that it can use, it will say, I do not know. And that's really key to ensuring that you do not have hallucinations. Now, the second part of hallucinations, which we will is happens, it second part of hallucinations because of content that already resides in your trusted source. So if you have outdated, overlapping content, the AI will probably provide incorrect responses. That's the second part of it, where we identify the duplicates, identify the overlapping pieces of content, and then transform them to ensure that the content part of it is clean, which means that the AI has a clean or a trusted source it can go to fetch content that it can use for its responses. So together we can ensure that there are no hallucinations. I think that kind of answers that first part of the question as well to some extent.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of tack onto that before we move to language and tone, there was also a question about, you know, someone who's seeing as they've started to deploy AI generated answers, third-party content or external content sneaking in because the tool they're using is leveraging like a public LLM model, right?
Okay, yeah.
Um, so how does eGain handle that possibility, or does it? How?
It does, and that is done through guardrails. So we use. I don't think most companies in the knowledge management space are working on their own foundational models. Most people and foundational models require so much data to be trained anyway, because that's the reason why they have the ability to understand the nuances of language. When somebody phrases it in a different way, or when somebody asks a question, it can detect the tone. All of that is because of the richness of the content it was trained with. So that part's really important. What you do need to do when you use those foundational models, you need to put guardrails around it. You to ensure that, one, you very specifically instruct those models to only use your content. Two, you instruct, but you do not trust. You verify. When the responses come back, you verify the responses to ensure they actually did come from your sources. So that's again advantage of agentic technology. We have the agents that are looking out for the responses, whether they're accurate, whether they came in from the source, what part of the source. So all of those things are done to ensure that the LLM does not use any of its training to answer the question. The language model part of it primarily is used to understand English, understand the language that we're processing in, not for content.
Got it. Keeping with our kind of content-focused theme, there's been a few questions as well about how handling images and or video in content. How is
Ooh.
that? Do you recommend that, not recommend that? Get rid of your screenshots and videos and
No,
do it all in text, or
um, that's a great question. There's a few ways to do it. There are AI now has the ability to go multimodal, which means it has the ability to understand content within images, understand content within videos, and use those pieces. Now, as with any piece of content that you want to move from what is your organizational content to a trusted content, it requires an expert in the loop, which is exactly what we recommend for these kind of these pieces of content as well. So my recommendation is, yes, use multimodal. You absolutely need multimodal content to make it rich experience for your customers. So you do need to use that content. But when you start using it with AI, get AI to interpret the content first, have an expert review it, ensure that it's trusted before it gets used by your end consumers. So again, we have a process that we do that in. Yeah, happy to discuss more again. A lot of these are like in-depth topics that I could probably spend hours discussing.
yeah, I think every time you kind of peek under the covers of anything AI, there's those kinds of things come up. Um, I could spend a year talking just about this one thing. Um, since you mentioned human in the loop, there have also been some questions about, there's some really robust automations that you showed us.
Yes,
Can you choose, are those automatically launched? Can you choose to make them automatic or human intervention? Can you kind of pick and choose when you have a human
yes.
involved in these processes?
Absolutely. So all the automations that I showed you right now, they're all built to be flexible enough to bring in human, or we like to say expert in the loop, because we really want the human part of it to be built, because it's costly to be bought in when you have the need for an expert. So yes, we do have the ability to bring in experts at any stage within that process, and we do have the ability to um, determine that, send that through workflows, whether you want to send it through an approval or you want somebody to take a look at it. We have the ability to do that within those tools itself.
That's great. I love that expert in the loop. I like that a lot rather than just random human popping their head in.
We wanted to give the human a little bit more weight than that, just human.
Yes, yes, it's still important. Our experts are still very important.
Yes.
Um, Questions as well about measures, and this is a concern that we've heard kind of across all of our members and other people we talk to in knowledge is, if we've got AI picking and choosing content that's relevant and crafting an answer to present, how do we track the value of kind of the source content? How do we know which pieces of our content are valuable and how do we measure that?
That is actually a perfect question. Um, so the your measurements don't necessarily change because AI is picking that piece of content. Because if you really think of it, let's take AI out of the picture for a second. let's say your content is only being used by humans. Humans are using it exactly the same way, right? They are going to look at the content and say, okay, that paragraph in that article is what I need to answer this question, and I'm going to use that paragraph. So what's valuable doesn't necessarily change based on whether it's human or AI picking it. You actually get more information when an AI picks a particular piece of content. And the reason you do that is because we actually log what part of the article did the AI use to answer the
Mm.
question. So now it's not that just that article was used to answer this question. It is, what part of that article was used, which means you now have more insights into what content is valuable, which means you can fine tune your processes even more. So yeah, I'd give that one to AI in terms of win-win.
So tracking citations and reuse of content is something
Exactly.
that you guys do regularly.
We log all of that and it's available as part of our analytics, and you can take a look at those to determine where you want to optimize further.
Great. I think I'm going to have time for just one more before we wrap up. And that was about measuring um, the performance and effectiveness of the AI itself. Like, how do you tell whether it's doing a good job supplying answers to users or guiding them through the various tasks that it's helping with?
Right. So a couple things. I think the easiest way now, there are ways to do it. As an AI company, we measure our AI systems very rigorously in terms of whether it does what it's supposed to do. We have large data sets that we use to ensure that we're getting the results that we're looking for, but that's not something we expect our customers to do. So from a customer perspective, I think the best way to measure AI again is through end results. Are you getting the results that you were looking for? Um, and then tie that back to, okay, was that response something that the AI provided? And if it did it do the right thing? So that's kind of the chain to measure AI from a customer perspective. If from our perspective, yes, we do measure our models, the way we pick our models. We have rigorous testing around exactly what the model does and what kind of results we get out of it before we apply it in any of our applications.
Got it. So the activity itself and then the quality of what the outcome was for that.
Outcome is what I
Great.
would use to measure.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Arvind. This was a really engaging and interesting perspective on how you're looking to help people implement the principles and practices of KCS into their work. It's exciting things going on in this area with helping our knowledge workers be the best they can be and do the most that they can with the assistance of AI. I want to thank everyone for joining today. As I mentioned in the introduction, the recording for this session will be shared, so keep an eye